Hello, and welcome to the latest edition of Almost Gaming. On today's show, the Wii U is getting a kick-started retro callback, Sony is winning China, Microsoft decides which press conference to attend, The Witcher 3 has some long load times, and we talk about the value of DLC season passes. The Witcher 3 is going to be a huge test case for PC gaming, pushing what the latest gaming rigs are capable of. But could that introduce a long loading time aspect? Gaming Bolt shares some information from PS Extreme, a Polish gaming magazine, that the PS4 version of the game features loading times of around 40 seconds when the player dies or uses the fast travel system. Now, there's not necessarily a correlation to the PC version, though it does seem to point at it being a game that's going to require the strongest in PC gaming technology in order to play. On the other side of the coin, videos are starting to come out from gaming press that have early access to the game, and they show off a PC version that runs smoothly at 1080p and 60 frames per second. So even if you do have to wait nearly a minute for loading times, at least the gorgeous graphics will help make up for that. In 1998, Rare created the game Banjo-Kazooie for the Nintendo 64. It was a sort of platformer, collect-em-all type game in which you used various methods of getting around. The game became something of a classic and spawned a series of sequels, ending with 2008's Nuts and Bolts, the first one made after Microsoft's purchase of Rare, placing the game on the 360. That game received somewhat middling reviews, leading many to feel that the era of the collect-em-all platformer was over. Well, leave it to Kickstarter to prove that the industry doesn't always know what gamers want. The creators of the original game turned to the crowdfunding site in order to create a new game, a spiritual successor to that series, known as Yooka-Laylee. Get it? They set out with a goal of 175,000 British pounds and had that met in about 38 minutes. As a matter of fact, to this point, the project has received almost 1.5 million pounds of funding, which equates to over 2.25 million US dollars. They've introduced a variety of stretch goals, the most recent being a full orchestral soundtrack included at 1.5 million pounds. That does seem to be the last stretch goals and includes a statement that any additional funding will help us polish the game to the nth degree. The game is now scheduled for an October 2016 simultaneous release on Wii U, Xbox One, PS4, PC, Mac, and Linux. It would seem that the days of E3 being the single epicenter of gaming news are long past. These days, it seems like there's a major gaming convention every month, if not more often, with the big companies all expected to come out and show something off. It seems like the big boys now are having to pick and choose which one of these events they're going to attend. Sony recently announced that they will be skipping the Gamescom conference held in Germany in order to attend Paris Game Week held at the same time. Perhaps in response to this, and directly in response to questions on Twitter, Xbox head Phil Spencer said that the company and he will be appearing at Gamescom. It does appear to be an all-in choice, as he responded to someone on Twitter who said that they hope that they are at Paris by calling it a good show, but not really speaking to attending. China recently lifted an embargo on foreign video game consoles. Microsoft jumped in with 2 feet, launching the Xbox One there very quickly. Sony was more deliberate, only launching the PS4 there this past March. Well, it seems that Slow and Steady has won the race. Chinese media today is reporting that the PS4 has already sold a total of 73,000 units in the country, which has already exceeded the lifetime sales of the Xbox One in that country. The other interesting stat is that only about 20% of those units have been sold in traditional brick-and-mortar stores. The vast majority have been ordered online. For today's featured story, one of the most controversial topics in gaming today is paid downloadable content. Starting out as just small bonuses, it's now grown so large that it can almost seem like another game entirely. Perhaps an evolution of the expansion pack concept from the early gaming days. But this movement begs a question. If enough value is provided, can a gaming company charge almost as much as the game itself for all of its downloadable content? That question is being asked about Batman Arkham Knight, the conclusion of the Knight series of games. At least for now. More than a month before the game even comes out, we now know about the vast majority of its downloadable content. Why? So you can make sure to plunk down for a season pass when you buy the game. But Rocksteady made one major mistake. They announced that the season pass will be available for a throat-clearing $40, but held close to the vest, what that $40 is actually going to get you. They gauged fan reaction and very quickly realized that you can't just announce that a game's total content is going to cost around $100 and not fess up to what that's going to include. A few days later, they announced on their forums a great portion of the DLC for the game, and there's definitely a lot of it. It's going to include skins, Batmobile racing, new challenge maps, new story missions for all of the characters, and most eye-grabbing, a new prequel DLC story campaign as Batgirl, making her playable in the series for the first time. Is this enough content to justify the price? Well, only sales of the game and the DLC will tell that tale. But if this does work out, we could see this as a new standard system in keeping base game prices around their current $60 level, but providing greater amounts of content in exchange for increased revenue. That is going to do it for this edition of Almost Gaming. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button right down below, and also subscribe to the channel to see the latest gaming news every week. Also, leave some comments down below with your thoughts on any of the stories I covered today. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, game on. For today's featured story, Swiss. It's cheese, but it has holes in it. And doesn't that mean there's cheese that they're not giving you? And why isn't there, like, you know how there's donuts? They made donuts and you punch the hole out of the donut to make a donut, and then they started selling the donut holes? Why isn't somebody selling Swiss holes? Little balls or circles of Swiss cheese that were punched out of the... Anyway.